Hi, I'm going to have a session with my teammates on simple steps to write an effective email. Let's check it out. Thank you, friends. Good afternoon. And I really appreciate your time for this meetup and would like to thank every attendee in this session. And today I will be talking on simple steps to write an effective email. So instead of wasting the time in terms of the introduction, so let's start our conversation here. So before we proceed into the presentation, I would like to highlight some of the housekeeping points. Everyone will be muted and the question will be taken at the end of the session. You can unmute yourself while you speak, or you can use chat for questions. You can drink coffee, tea, whatever you like it during the session. Please avoid toilet breaks for next 30 minutes at least. I will be the presenter of today's session. So let's move on further. As we all know, that email is an essential tool for our business communications, and sometimes it happens when recipient gets confused, frustrated, tense, or other negative consequences happen after reading our emails. So, how we can avoid such emails, how we can identify that our email results are very effective ones. So, in this presentation, we will look at strategies we can use to ensure that use of email is clear, effective, and successful. There could be two types of the emails in our conversation. One is related to the formal email. Normally, we use in sending official emails. Informal emails, which we use in sending casual emails. Okay. And in normal, if we talk about, in particularly, especially if we talk about the official emails, which are normally used in our pre-sales activities, communicating with customers, suppliers, vendors, partners, and also it is being used in communicating project and management teams. So whereas if we see the informal or you can say casual emails, we usually communicate to our team members, friend, family in a casual way. It doesn't require that we needed to be a formal, or we need to be a specific that, oh, there should be some consideration we have to apply. But in official emails, formal email, yes, applications are there. But let's say if in terms of informal emails, it's up to the person how they are wanted to communicate. It's you can say win-win situation happens. So also informal emails, we don't normally communicate for our project and teams, which is you can say regular basis. But let's say whenever we are going to talk about more official, more you can say the formal, we have to apply some of the practices. And what will be the applications, or what will be the consideration that we have to use it. So we'll talk about it here. So let's take an example here that on an average, we receive around dozens of emails in, you can say, each day that we are receiving. And sometimes it increases in hundreds, especially whenever there is occasion being happening. So with that particular such volume of email, individual emails can easily get overlooked. Our emails can be noticed and act upon if we consider only 6 steps by the time we write an email. And what are the 6 steps that we are going to follow? Next, they are coming here. Step number one, don't over communicate by email. One of the biggest source of stress at work is the big volume of emails that a person receives. So before we begin writing an email, we should ask ourselves, is this really necessary? So if we are thinking about how we can overcome this situation, that how we can estimate or how we can put it in a way that our email, it is not going to be over communicated. So consideration number one comes here. And also, I would like to highlight here to overcome this situation that we can use phone, we can use instant messages to deal with questions that are likely to need some back and forth conversations or back and forth discussion that we need to do it here. Also, we need to make sure that email is not as secure as we might want it to be, particularly as people may forward such emails without thinking to delete the history or the conversation history. So we should avoid sharing sensitive and the personal information in an email. And don't write about anything that we or subject of our email wouldn't like to see plastered on a billboard. So that's very important thing that we have to look into it as a consideration one. Then the step number two, it comes good use of a subject line. A blank or incomplete subject line is more likely to be overlooked or considered as useless. So that's very important topic that we have to deal about it. To overcome this situation, consideration number two comes here. We can consider just like our newspaper headlines. They have two major functions. It grabs our intention. It summarizes the article, so the reader can decide whether the article should be read or not. The same applies in our emails. The subject line of our email should do the same thing. How it looks like, I'm giving you an example here. A perfect example that it will work there. Instead of putting here one word, two word, it's better to write a small detail what is all about inside your email. So in general, we are putting here training workshop. We don't know about what's a training workshop, it's there. Similar way, we normally used to send the internal emails, let's say estimates. Estimates doesn't mean anything. If we put some customer name, project name, phase name, and estimate, so it will also clarify the recipient, okay, to whom we are speaking, onto which topic. So that's is very important thing that we have to consider. So first thing is we have to decide either we should send an email or not, because email can be overlooked because of the volume that we are receiving. Second thing, if we are going to send an email, it should have a good subject line. Then it comes to step number three, that our email message should be very clear and a brief. Email, like you can say the traditional letters, the traditional business letters, and they needs to be clear and concise. To do this one, what we have to do, we have to keep sentence short and to the point. The body of the email should be direct and informative, and it should contain all the relevant information which is needed to be done. So that's very important thing here. So first thing, either we are going to send an email or not. If we are deciding yes, email should be sent, there should be a proper subject line. Then afterwards, we have to keep our message very clean, very clear, and very brief about it. Okay. What will be the example here? So you can see everything is written here in journal. So the person, he has to take a while to read all of the information about it. I mean, let's say in this particular email, I am expecting a project status report. And this project status report, I need to submit. And it is a very concise. But if I am just going to break the information, very simplified one, so it will help us to identify. It costs no more to send several emails. I mean, let's say if we are going to send one email, so definitely there will be a chances that the person is going to be confused. There could be a chances that the relevant information, more important information is going to be slipped. It's better if we are going to put the emails very simple in a way that we are going to put one topic at a line, at a one sub, you can say email, because let's say if we are going to talk about several parts or several different conversation in one email, definitely it will not work. So what we can do, we can split our emails. So let's say we are going to talk about one project in a particular phase. Second one is second phase of that particular project. We can split it out. We can put it in the chunks. We can put some bullet points. We could put some numbers. And we can break the information into the pieces so that the person who is receiving, he can conceive the information and he can see, okay, what's needed to be done so that he can respond back. So what it can be done here. So in this particular example, that what I'm going to show you here, then I am sending the two different things in a single email. Then I'm expecting a report. Then I'm also communicating him that I have a meeting, project steering meeting at this time, and I need some attention. If I'm going to break it, very simplified way, that okay, I'm expecting a report. There are some consideration that needs to be filled. That's it. Then afterwards, what I can do, I can make some follow-ups here. I can make a follow-up afterwards because there is a second conversation, because steering committee is different than the project status report. It could be, there could be a chances. So that's the mechanism that we can apply if we are going to keep our message very clear, very brief. So that's the point number 3 that we were talking about. Now, in point number 4, email should be very polite. People often think that email can be less formal than the traditional letters, but the messages we send are a reflection of our own professionalism, values, and intention to detail. So a certain level of the formality is needed here. So what's the consideration here? We must avoid to use some jargons, the slangs, the informal way to communicate. If we don't know about the customer, if we don't know who is the recipient, the first time that we are going to interact, or the person is very reserved. So in this way, we must avoid informal language, slang, jargon, or inappropriate abbreviation that he doesn't know about it. Emotions, yes, we can put it there, means we can put some happy smile faces in between our emails, but it's normally the best practice when we know the other person. It should be with the known people over there. So that's the consideration, you can say the 4. We normally put it here. Okay. Now it comes to the point number 5, which is we can take in a way that we should check our tone. Whenever we meet people face to face, we use the other person's body language, vocal tone, facial expression to assess how they feel. We can extract expressions. Actually, we can't extract the expression from email. And this means that we can't tell when people have misunderstood our messages. So that's the drawback here whenever we are communicating any person over the email. So to avoid such a things, what we should do, we should think about how our email feels emotionally. If our intentions or emotion could be misunderstood, we should find a less ambiguous way to rephrase our words. That's very important thing here. Sometimes it happens that whenever we are sending an email, we don't know what's the word we are using in between, what type of the sentences we are putting in here in the emails. So we should avoid it here. So we should think about the mentality of the person who is receiving and how he can take it, how he is going to think it. Might be possible your intention is right, but the other person is taking offense here. So take a look on the example here. In this particular example, what you can see that Adnan is very frustrated and he is very angry on it. Means what the checkup might think about it. But in reality, I'm fine. Only I'm expecting a report. So instead of sending such an email, I can rephrase so that my tune is okay. My tune is appropriate. So that's very important thing by the time that we are going to send in an email conversation with any you can say recipient, specifically for the teammates, customers, partners, vendors, whatever we are sending as the official emails there. Okay. Now, there is a finally one step which we put it here as a 6 email proofreading. Before we hit send, we should take a moment to review emails for spelling, grammar, and punctuation mistakes. You can consider that email messages our email messages are as much as part of our professional image as the clothes we are wearing. So it looks bad to send out a message that contains typos. That's very important thing that we have to consider by the time that we are going to send an email. So here comes the consideration number 6, that we have to proofread our email before we are going to send an email. As we proofread, we should pay careful attention to the length of our email. People are you can say people are more likely to read short and concise emails than long ones. That's the truth, that's the reality, because there are a lot of message email communication, lot of social feeds are coming up here. So people are tend to read very less concise emails. Our email shouldn't be pointless, and we should make sure that our email should have the necessary information. So it should be the short as possible without excluding necessary information. So whatever we want to communicate, we have to communicate in a quick way. So let's take an example. Let's say if we want to communicate in a brief, we can do one more thing. We can send an email about the agenda, about the points. We can put it in some documentation. Instead of writing this complete email in one mail body, we can put it in the document. Or we can set up a call with the customer. We can set up a call with the person to whom we are going to communicate, and we can explain so that it will be identified by his voice tone, by seeing his facial expression. We can identify, we can observe, okay, how it looks like, so that if there is any clarification is required, we can do on the spot, instead of we are going back and forth and there is a lot of conversation is being happen. And that's the major, you can say, the gap normally happens whenever we are sending an email to the any person, especially in the projects that we are talking about. So these are the all 6 steps that we have to follow in our emails that we are going to send. So I hope this presentation is not a boring topic for you, and we are left with some important points which we should consider in our email composition here. So how we can compose the email? So in a normal, you can say formal email or official communication, that whatever we are doing in our daily basis, our email structure should have some basic structure. And the structure should be that the proper email subject line should be there on our emails. We should begin with our greetings. So that's very important thing by the time that we are sending to the email. It's good if we start with thanking the recipient of that particular email. Afterwards, we should add write up about main objective or purpose of that email, that we are going to put it there as a necessary information, or objective of the email, that why we are sending to this email to that particular person or recipients. It's good if we have some closing remarks at the end of the main write up. And finally, uh, there should be an end with a closing, as it sees that there are 6 steps they have to follow. But in reality, this is not a big one. It's a very small one. So I'll give you an example here, how it looks like. This is one email, very short and concise email. Okay. And this email I used to send whenever we conduct any training or any presentation to our customer, any training workshops, or even this more or less similar whenever we are normally communicating. So how it looks like. First is the recipient. We should consider who is the recipient. We need to make sure that all the relevant recipients should be in between the, you can say, the addressee that we are going to use, either in the to or cc, to the person to whom we are going to give the attention, means to whom we are going to communicate. CC is the kind of, you can say, we are going to send a copy, or we are just keep them in a loop in the mail conversation. Or there is a way to send the blind carbon copy of it, of the email, BCC. We can also use it. But let's say normally whenever we are communicating, we use to and C. To always should be the person or a team or a group of people or an individual to whom we are going to talk about. Second part is the subject. Subject will be close enough, that what's the topic of that particular email that you have sent. Sometimes happens in our daily, you can say, communication. There is a one conversation is going on, and suddenly there is a separate conversation happen, and the same, under the same, you can say, email subject. So whenever you are seeing that the conversation is going to be changed, it's highly recommended to change the topic, so that you can easily identify what's the difference. Third part, the recipients. Attention, you have to greet them. You have to put it there. Means in the general sentence, we normally start with hi, dear, or even we start with greetings. So it totally depends what the culture, what are the norms that you are going to follow. So we are just putting attention or greetings over there. In the mail body, we also like to thank the person, the recipient, about the information. Might be possible he's sending the means totally depends on the situation. In this situation, the customer he attended our session. So in this particular scenario, we are thanking him that he have given us a time, and we are very thankful for him, thankful to him. So that's the normally happens. Whenever the person is sending an email, we normally start with thank you for your email, for your time, blah, blah, blah. You can also send it over there. So thank with the recipient, then the person purpose description, the main content you can say, which is very necessary that we are going to put it here. What's all about main agenda or main, you can say, the information that we have to keep there. Closing remarks, which is again linked with our, you can say, main topic, or you can say what we call it, the purpose description here. Then we have a closing remarks. So these are all of your main elements. So by the time whenever you are sending an email, you must keep considering that there should be 6 major steps. One is the subject. Second is thanking the recipient or to whom you are going to send. Third thing is to put the necessary information. First is the greetings. First is the subject. Second is the making the attention to whom you are talking about. Third is thanking the recipient. And fourth is making or putting the purpose, or you can say the main information that you are going to share with the customer. Fifth is the closing remark, which is again linked with the purpose description. And in the end, that you are going to put as a closure or closing remark you are going to put. So these are the, you can say, basic steps that we normally follow whenever we are sending any official email to our customer during the pre-sales, sales, project communication, any you can say formal and official email that we are going to send. We should follow this consideration here. Now, the times comes how you can see or how you can improve your writing skills. So that's very important questions that it comes here. We have the problem. We know this is something that we have to improve. So what are the ways to improve our email writing communication or email writing skills there? You can improve your email writing skills by applying some practices. The practices, it could be starts with reading books, blog articles. This type of the practice, it will increase your vocabulary and the sentence formation skills. It's necessary and must to adopt this practice. I highly recommend to read books, good books, literature books, even personal development books, and even any topic that you can start reading. You should at least have some stamina to read some articles, and this is what you have to keep focusing. As much as you are going to start the reading, it will increase your writing skills because you know the vocabulary, you know how you can form the sentence. Whatever it comes to the mind, you must also write it. And in the form of you, it doesn't require that you are going to send this, but you are going to put the information how you are going to do it. So you can write in the form of documents. Even though nowadays the blogs are in, you can start writing the blogs over there. You can write anything, whatever it comes to your thoughts, you can start writing here. So by reading the books or articles, you have increasing the formation of sentence, and by keeping the writing, you are creating your the stamina. And the third thing, which is also necessary in terms of having a communication, you should have a good listening power to create, or you can say to organize or to enhance the listening power. You should start watching dramas, historical movies, literature based movies. What it will trigger you, it will trigger your thought processes and increase your listening power. And by the time you are going to follow all of these practices, believe me, if you follow only 30 to 40 minutes in a, you can say, day, you can observe that a big improvement in your capabilities in next 30 days. So that's proven, and also it applies to me also over there. Okay. So finally, here the end comes of this presentation. And in the last, once again, I would like to thank every attendee in this call. Thanks for watching this video. I'm pretty much sure that this video will add some valuable addition in your writing an effective email. Please let us know if you would like to learn more about the topic or have some suggestions. See you next time.